Welcome back. My name is Vijay Reddy Pininti. Today we are going to discuss how to establish connection between the Mule server and Jenkins. So what our agenda is, whenever we push our code into our Git repository, we want Jenkins to automatically detect commit to your GitHub repository and auto build your application and eventually deploy it into your Mule server. So how can we do this? So for doing this, first what I'm trying to do is I'll provide the link to my GitHub repository in the description. You can clone this repository. This is the sample Mule application that I'll be deploying into my standalone server. So in this, we need to have a Jenkins file. Okay, I'll explain the Jenkins script. We'll come back to this later. So first, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to clone the repository. It is very simple. We are providing the branch that we need to uh, clone and the GitHub repository. So I'm cloning this repository and the test branch of it. Okay. Once we clone this, we are building the jar. So in Maven, how you can do is the command for this is Maven clean packages, and I haven't written any munit for this, so that is why I'm doing Maven clean package minus the skip test. Okay, and then what we are doing is uh, we are getting the from the target folder we are finding the jar. If we don't find any jar, it means the build stage was failure and we are throwing error that no jar file was found in the target directory. But if we are able to find a target our jar, and then we are using this jar to deploy the application into the Mule server. Okay, and in the final stage what we are doing is this stage is important. Whatever jar we have generated here, we are sending this jar from our Jenkins server into the Mule server. So how can we do this? We need to provide the Mule server username. So since I'm using a Ubuntu OS, the Mule server user would be Ubuntu. Next, we require the Mule server IP. So how can we find that? Just go back to your EC2 instance. Yeah, go to your EC2 dashboard and click on Mule server. You will find the Mule server IP here. Okay, so copy that and provide the Mule server IP here. Next, we are copying the jar to this user and IP, and we have to provide the destination folder. uh, in Mule, the applications are generally deployed into the apps folder. So if you look here, uh, yeah, so you can see the apps folder here, right? So we'll deploy our application into this folder. So cd into apps. So our destination folder should be /home /ubuntu, and in Ubuntu it should be this location. Okay, so I'll explain it again. So we are getting the application jar and we are moving it into our uh, Mule server. This is the username of the server, this is the IP of the server, and this is the target directory. Once we are moving that into the destination folder, we are moving the file into our Mule server. We are securely verifying that the file has reached our Mule server or not with this command by using the SSH. Then after the deployment is success, we are cleaning the Jenkins workspace. Else we are throwing a deployment fail. Okay. Now that we have configured everything, let us push this into our GitHub repository and then configure the Jenkins pipeline for this. So let me push this. Okay, I've pushed the Jenkins file. Yes, and it has all the required configurations made by me. Now, go back to your Jenkins dashboard. Okay, then we'll create a free pipeline, freestyle pipeline. So the project would be Mule 4, and I'll select a pipeline project and then just say click on OK, and description would be uh, pipeline for Mule applications. Then I'll only preserve up to 3 builds. Then we'll configure this later based on our requirement. For now, I'll just leave that. And then here we are mentioning the pipeline script or the Jenkins script you take from SCM. SCM stands for source code management. And what is our source code? It's Git. Okay. Next, we need to provide the GitHub repository URL. So I'll just go back to my Jenkins GitHub repository. Copy the repository URL. Since this repo is a public repo, I need not provide any credentials for this. But if your repository is a private repository, what you can do is you can generate a SSH key for your repository and then provide the public key inside the credential section of your Jenkins. Since this is my public repository, I'm not providing any credentials for this. It will work for me. And then which branch we need to take the code from? We are taking the test branch. This we need not configure, and the Jenkins file name should be exactly as the one which you have provided here. I've used a capital F if you have noticed. So just make sure that the file name is same. Okay, and then we can leave rest all like this and just click on save. Okay, we'll first manually trigger this build. I'll click on build. This build will fail, and I'll provide you the debugging steps on how to fix this. As I told, this has failed. Okay, what does it say? The, this, file. Okay, so our first error, it says as Maven is not found. Uh, okay, so we have to install Maven first. So go to your Jenkins server. Okay, and then just say sudo apt get install Maven. We can now say Maven iPhone version. So yeah, we have downloaded Maven successfully. Now I'll rebuild this. Let's see the console. Okay, now test found Maven. It is. Let's see if this is success or not. No, has also failed. Let us see why it has failed. Okay, what does it say? Fail to execute colon project in unnamed module cannot access. Okay, so the issue is with Java. So what's happening is, uh, if you have followed the tutorial from the beginning, we have used JDK, OpenJDK 17 for my Jenkins server, because Jenkins server requires OpenJDK 17, but my Mule application requires JDK 8. Okay, so what we can do is we can tell our Jenkins server to use OpenJDK 8 for my this specific application. So how you can do this is, first install OpenJDK 8 in your Jenkins server. So sudo apt get install OpenJDK 8. Okay, I've installed OpenJDK 8. Now you can see the list of available uh, OpenJDKs with you with this command sudo update alternatives display Java. So if you can see, I have OpenJDK 17 and OpenJDK 8 here. So we just need to copy this path slash user lib jvm java 8 OpenJDK until AMD 64. Just copy this. Okay, and then uh, go to your Jenkins server and click on manage Jenkins. Then go to tools. Inside tools, click on add JDK. uh, the name I would be providing is JDK 8, and the Java home for that would be this particular location. I'll click on save. So that has been applied. Now you have to tell your Jenkins that no you have to tell your Jenkins script to use that particular JDK. So how you can do that is, after your environment, you can add the tools section, and inside tools I would say use JDK and the name of uh, a JDK you have just provided. Let's look into that. So we have provided it as JDK 8, so I'll just copy this. So we are telling our Jenkins script as well to use this particular JDK, and how you can access the JDKs with this tool configuration name. Okay, I'll recommit my changes. Okay, now that we have pushed our change, let's come back to our Jenkins. Okay, now I'll trigger the build again. Now the deployment has failed again. So the reason, okay, yeah. Okay, now when we are trying to send our Mule application jar into the Mule server from our Jenkins server, the deployment has failed. Okay, so and the error says that connection closed and host key verification failed. So what happens what is happening here is exactly is our Mule server is not able to identify the communication from our Jenkins server. Okay, so to avoid this, what we have to do is let me open Paint. Okay, now let's say this is our EC2 instance 1 and this is our EC2 instance 2. So let's say this is my Jenkins server and this is my Mule server. Uh, Now Jenkins was trying to send a communication to Mule server, but the communication failed. So what is happening is, as I told, Mule server is not able to identify Jenkins server. How can we overcome this? Is we have to generate a SSH keygen key pair. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll generate a key pair in our Jenkins server, which will have basically your private key and your public certificate. So if we want our Mule server to identify Jenkins server, what we have to do is we have to keep the public certificate of your Jenkins server inside the Mule server. So if you move this public certificate and paste it here, then the communication will happen between your Jenkins server and Mule server. So how we can do this is just go to your Jenkins server, okay, and log in as your Jenkins user. Okay, now I've logged in as my Jenkins user. Okay, so the command to generate our certificate is ssh keygen minus t RSA. So we are basically specifying the algorithm type that we need to use, and then the length of our key, which is 4096, and a comment to identify our certificate. So let me put the comment as Jenkins certificate. We'll leave this as default. Just press enter and enter. So we have generated the public and private key. So we'll cd into the SSH folder. Okay. Now we can see two things here: ID underscore RSA and ID underscore RSA dot pub. Uh, we should never share this ID underscore RSA because this is your private key and should be kept with yourself. And we'll share this public key with the Mule server. So I'll just say cat ID underscore RSA dot pub. Okay. If you see, I've added the command Jenkins certificate, and this is our public key. So just simply copy this. Now come to your Mule server and cd into the SSH folder. So cd SSH. Here we have a file called authorized keys. We have to edit it and add our public certificate into the authorized keys. So just say vi authorized keys and press I to insert, and then just paste it, our public certificate, then press escape, then colon w for write and q for quit. Now that we have added our public certificate of Jenkins server into the Mule standalone server, our deployment should be successful. Okay, but before that, let's make sure our Mule server is uh, up and running. Perfect. Our Mule server is running. Now let us go to the Jenkins server and trigger the build manually again. I'll click on build. Let's hope this one will be successful. Oh, okay. If you can see, we have added an extra slash here. I guess that's causing the issue. Let us just remove this and save this. Let us commit this change. Perfect. We have pushed it. Let me just verify. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Now we have added the public certificate of Jenkins server to our Mule server. Let us just once restart our Jenkins server. We can just give our Jenkins server IP followed by the port and just say restart. And let us just give it some time to restart. Say yes. I'm just waiting for the Jenkins server to restart. Yep, it has restarted. Let's trigger the build once again. Okay, I'll just click on build now. Okay, the application has successfully been sent to our Mule server. Let us just verify this. Go to your Mule server. Okay, let us move to the apps folder. As we can see, the PDF generator application is present here. Now let us try to reach this application. So go to your Mule server, copy the Mule server's IP. So the API which I have deployed is running on port 8081, and the path is API v1 and generate PDF. Yeah, I know this will not be reachable. Reason being, we haven't configured our Mule server security group to accept incoming traffic on port 8081. So let us go to the security group, uh, the Mule for security group. Let us edit the inbound rule, add yes custom TCP on port 8081. Source can be anywhere, and let us save this. Okay, let us try to reach this again. Okay, yeah, so my application basically generates a PDF called bill, and yeah, yeah, that's fine. Like, this is my browser security, but yeah, we are able to reach our Mule application finally. uh, yeah, so we have established connection between Mule and Jenkins, but as of now what's happening is you are manually triggering the build. So as I said earlier, the build should be triggered automatically once we push a change to our GitHub repository. So in the next video we'll be looking into that, how we can automate this process. We'll be using GitHub webhooks for this. Yeah, thanks for watching this video, and join me in the next video on understanding how GitHub webhooks work. Thank you.